Hey, it's Lori with Nelson Farms. Today I have a super yummy, healthy recipe. And if you're like me, you struggle to get your kids to eat vegetables, this is a great way to sneak them in. Sweet potato pancakes. They're so good. The kids will not even know that they have sweet potatoes in them. This recipe is super easy to make. It's moist. You can add walnuts or pecans or whatever you want to add to it. Kind of make it your own, customize it to yourself. It's gluten-free, it's dairy-free if you want it to be, and it's really good. The first thing you're going to want to do is get you a medium to large size sweet potato like this. Wash it good, and you want it baked. So you can bake that in the oven or you can microwave it. But you want to get it baked, you want the skin off, and you want it mashed up. Okay, while that sweet potato is cooking, let me show you the other ingredients you're gonna need. Butter and milk. So we're making this dairy-free. So this is dairy-free butter. You want that to be at room temp. And we're gonna do almond milk. You're also gonna need 3 eggs. We're gonna separate the whites from the yolks on the eggs. You need some baking powder, cinnamon. Now, I am out of nutmeg, and this calls for nutmeg, so I'm just gonna add a little tiny bit of my nutmeg essential oil. If you want to learn how to cook with essential oils, that's a whole different video, but we are doing that the right and the safe way, the correct way. You're also going to need brown sugar, vanilla, and salt. We are using our fresh eggs, so these are not kept in the fridge. We keep these at room temp, but if you are using eggs out of the fridge, make sure they are at room temp. If they're not at room temp, you can just run them under some lukewarm water until they're the right temp. Okay, so in this bowl, I have 2 cups of the gluten-free flour. I have 3 teaspoons of the baking powder. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and this is where you would put a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now, the cinnamon and nutmeg, you can add more, add a little less, depending on your preferences. But get all of those dry ingredients added together. This isn't really a sifter, but I'm gonna throw it through this just so the mixture is smooth and there's not any clumps in it. So we're gonna kind of sift it through this, and then we're gonna mix some of the wet ingredients together. You do wanna separate the egg whites from the yolks. So I don't have a fancy way of doing that. I'm just gonna do it the way I know how, which is get those egg whites in there like that. We kind of do a little back and forth. These are our eggs from our hens, so they look nice. Okay, we're gonna do that with all 3 eggs. Now we're gonna start adding stuff together and really get this going. So we need to add the egg whites into a large bowl. Well, large enough to whisk. You're gonna wanna whisk all this together. So, it's Bubba. So you need the egg whites, the butter, that should be soft, room temp. You don't want it melted, but it's gonna be nice and soft. And again, you don't have to use dairy-free, but you can. We're gonna add in a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm just gonna do this over here in case I spill it. Now, you can add a little bit more if you want. I like to add just a little tiny bit more because I really like that vanilla essence in there. And add your sweet potatoes. So you want 3/4 of a cup of those mashed sweet potatoes. So literally get them out of the microwave or oven, however you cooked them, and just mash them up and add them in. And add your brown sugar. So we're gonna add 1 cup and 1/4 of brown sugar. I do pack it for this because we like ours sweet. These are sweeter pancakes. If you don't like as much sugar, just cut back a little bit or don't pack it as tight. And then add your milk. So I've already mentioned we are going to make this dairy-free. So we are using almond milk, but you can use buttermilk or you can use regular cow's milk. Use whichever milk you want. We're gonna add cup and a half of milk, and then we're gonna just blend all this together. Now, I'm gonna add just a tiny, tiny bit of the nutmeg in here. I'm gonna show you how I do that. Because you don't wanna add too much. If you do use, I would just caution you to be very careful using essential oils in your cooking. I'm only using essential oils that I know are good to be cooked with, like that's fine. So you wanna mix that up good like that. And so I'm gonna use nutmeg, and I'm literally just gonna put this toothpick down in here and just get a little tiny bit on there. It's not gonna take much. This is about empty, so let me open it up. It does not take much at all. And just swirl, we call that a toothpick swirl. Swirl that in there. And then you can add a little bit of pumpkin spice seasoning if you want to. 'Tis the season to do that. We do not. Once you have all this mixed up, make sure we got everything, yep. Then we're going to add that mixture that we sifted, our dry mixture. And we're just gonna mix this until it's blended up good. You don't wanna over mix it because you don't want these to be flat or super dense. So just mix it until everything comes together. And then I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do with these egg whites. So this might seem like a lot of work for a pancake recipe, but what I love about this is a batch that serves probably 5 to 6 people. So I just use half of it at a time and put the other half in the fridge. I'm gonna show you how to do that. You can also freeze these pancakes. Okay, this is mixed up good. Okay, remember those egg whites? I have whisked them until they're kind of foamy, just until they're about like that. And then we're gonna add those into that mixture. And just gently, gently incorporate all that together. So that's gonna help get them to be extra fluffy. It's gonna be so good. Mix that well, and then we're ready to cook them. Before you cook them though, this is where you can get creative and fun and add whatever add-ins you want. So we have discovered that we love walnuts in these pancakes. So I have some chopped walnuts. I'm just gonna add that right into the mixture. If you have some kids that want walnuts, some kids that don't, you can just pour some of the batter and set it aside. That's fine to do it that way. Chocolate chips are not bad in these either. There's some good dairy-free options, but go ahead and add in anything you wanna add in. And now we're gonna cook them. I just got my griddle out. I turned it on 350 and I just poured we like little tiny pancakes. So I poured little tiny pancakes on there. When they start to bubble, flip them. It doesn't take long at all. While those are cooking, I'm gonna show you what to do with this extra batter because this is way too much like batter for one serving for us. So grab you a canning jar or just a glass jar and pour that in there, your extra batter. Pop that in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow or the next day or later this week, when the kids want pancakes, everything's ready to go. So you've just prepped 2 meals instead of 1. So if you have any leftover in a jar like this, stick it in the fridge. It's good for several days. If you have extra pancakes, which we didn't, if you have extra pancakes, you can stack them up. I would put a piece of parchment paper in between them. And if you have like a vacuum sealer, vacuum seal it, put it in the freezer and they'll be good. So enjoy. Thanks for watching. See y'all next time.